Good morning. My name is Jason Allen. I'm a realtor based in Palm Springs, California. And on a weekly basis, I like to take a few minutes to explain the market in specific cities in the Coachella Valley. There are four that I do most of my business in, although I'm happy to work anywhere in the valley. And those four cities are Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, and Palm Desert. Today, I'm going to focus on Palm Desert. And for some, you may understand that I recently switched from all of the charts that I usually used, and I'm still working on the best new charts to use. So today, I'm going to do a couple of things. Let me start by sharing my screen. So my local association produces something called the Desert Valley Monthly Housing Report. And it's not especially useful when we're talking about one city. What I've done is extracted and removed the charts that are sort of global, if you will, that talk about the whole valley. And instead, I've highlighted the Palm Desert numbers, and we'll go through those. So here's the Desert Housing Report for March 2024. It is April 22nd, Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. But we're using March because that's the most recently completed month. So this is a very helpful chart for those that don't, or map, I should say, for those that don't quite understand where cities are in the valley. You have Desert Hot Springs here at the north, Palm Springs, which is world famous, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indian Wells, La Quinta, Indio, and Coachella. But additionally, there's Thousand Palms and Bermuda Dunes that are on the north side of the 10 freeway. Did I mention La Quinta? I think I did. So today we're going to focus on Palm Desert. And in this case, we're looking at the average sized detached home and attached home. And this is comparing March of 24 to March of 23. Let me just say there are two numbers that we bounce between. One is the average, which is taking all of the numbers, adding them up, and then dividing by the number of numbers we used. Median is essentially the number right in the middle, half or higher, half or lower. For these charts, we tend to use average. Now, looking at Palm Desert, we're saying that the average size home is about 2,200 square feet. This is the detached home, so single family dwellings is what we would commonly say. Average price per square foot, $344.26. Average price of that home, $757, $371. Average price a year ago, $728, $284. 4% price increase. And then they do something unique, which is that they recognize that 2011 and 2012 were the lowest, was our bottom, if you will, after the Great Recession of '08. And they're saying in this case, Palm Desert has a 150% increase over the low. I don't know that that's terribly useful unless you actually owned your home or bought it in 2011 or 2012, but it's there nonetheless. Now, we're going to skip down to average size attached home. An attached home would be your condominium, your townhouse, that sort of thing. Average sized attached home, 1,600 square feet, price per square foot, $338.61. Average price of this size home, $541,780. And a year ago, $529,240. 12-month change, 2.4%. And then you have your low from 11-12. Now, let me pause for a moment and just say that when we talk about averages, we're talking a little bit like if I were to ask you, let's say you have a spouse and 3 children at home, how's the family doing? And you say, oh, everyone's doing really well, but Jennifer is sick as a dog. So I bring that up in the sense of we can talk about averages, but if your particular home doesn't fall within the average, let's say you bought your home in 2008, and so you took a big loss until the market recovered fully, let's say, during COVID, this 150 may not apply to you. This may only be 78 or 50. So I mention that just so that you get a sense of the overall health of the market, but don't draw too many inferences with respect to your house. What we're always going to look at when evaluating your house is what are the comparable properties that have recently sold. And right now we're looking at 6 to 9 months as a recent sale. Let's skip down. Home sales by city. We're going to focus, I say on Palm Desert. So this is the blue is this year, this March. Orange is a year ago. We've had 140. Now, what they do with this chart is they average those over 3 months. So did we have 140 sales this March? No, but by averaging the previous 3 months, this is what we're saying for this. And then when we do April, they'll again average the 3 previous months. But you see, we do have higher sales, and that is consistent throughout the valley. We are seeing more sales in March and in April. I mean, April's numbers aren't out, but it's just obvious that there are more sales. Months of sale by city. So essentially, we take the number of homes that are available to be sold. We divide them by this average of 140 in this case, and we come up with what our inventory is. So if no new homes came to market in Palm Desert, it would take about almost 4 months to sell those. A year ago, it would have only taken 3 months. We had less inventory a year ago. And then we talk about the days in market, a little bit different from days on market, but days in market for detached homes of the median value. Again, I talked about the average. Now we're talking about the median, the home in the middle. 46 days on market. A year ago, it was 54. And then for the attached homes, 45 days. It was 44 a year ago. Not significantly different. So although we have more inventory, detached homes are selling quicker. Attached homes are selling at about the same rate. And then, while again, this report that I'm providing is not talking about the overall valley per se, we're focused on Palm Desert. I don't have a chart that specifically says how many homes are selling over asking price in Palm Desert, but from a valley-wide perspective, on average, about 14% of the homes are selling over asking. However, when we now parse it a bit further, we can see where on average, there is a slight discount for attached homes and detached homes. For attached homes in Palm Desert, we're seeing about a 2.4% discount. And then in the attached homes, about 2.8% discount. Again, average. So if we're seeing a 2.4 and a 2.8 respectively, it means that many homes also went over, go up to the 14% on average valley-wide, and that buoys that number up to 2.5 roughly in each case. Now, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share another one. Stand by. I like to show this chart from Chicago Title. They use Altos Research, and what's great about it is if we can go between houses and condos. This is again for Monday, April 22nd. And they break the median list price into 4 brackets. And they use this sort of analog looking gauge to show whether we're in a seller's market or a buyer's market. And essentially, we're at a 38. So we are pushing into a seller's market. What does that mean? It means that a seller has a little bit more advantage when it comes to the negotiating table, offering their property for sale and then negotiating. I can speak to that more in a moment. But if we scroll down and we look at the median price in each of these segments, they're all holding strong. So high end, middle 2 brackets, and then the lower price properties. You actually see where the high end houses have gone up. And then if we jump over to condos, also a seller's market. And then highest end in those attached homes has gone down a bit, but not significantly. The other 3 price brackets, very stable. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'll come back to leverage. So this is provided by Mortgage News Daily. It's a terrific site. I suggest you look at it from time to time. And what I like to do is focus on, this is comparing mortgage applications versus an average of the 30-year fixed rate. And I've specifically zoomed into all of 24. And typically, when rates are volatile, we'll see a direct inverse relationship. So in other words, as rates go up, the number of applications go down. There's a bit of an anticipation that rates are going to come back down. I'm not in a hurry. I'll wait. And the converse is true. Rates start to fall and people rush to get their application in to buy a house. Let me speak to that phenomenon. When you try and time the market, and I'm not saying that all of those people time the market, but when you try and time the market, you're essentially following a crowd. So in other words, when we say a seller has leverage versus a buyer has leverage, if there are lots of buyers in the marketplace, the seller has lots of leverage. If there are very few buyers in the market, the buyer has more leverage. So when you, as a buyer, follow the crowd, or as a seller follow the crowd, you put yourself at a negotiating disadvantage. Now, what's most interesting to me about this is if I zoom into this chart here, and I don't know if you can see, if it's very obvious to you, but this is what we call the purchase index, this blue shading area. This is the mortgage rate line. And if you just step back and you take a look at it, you see where over, and this is done weekly, over the last couple of months, the applications have stayed kind of steady, even though the rates have gone up. And what that tells me is that buyers recognizing that we're not likely to see an interest rate reduction anytime soon. So there's this pool of buyers that are going into the marketplace that because of life conditions, death, job relocation, additional children in the family or additional family members living with them, or want to get a roommate or want to simply relocate, are stepping into the market. They're recognizing, I can't wait for interest rates to come down, which it doesn't look like now they're going to come down this year because the economy is so strong. But why should I put off a life decision into next year when my interest rate is a half a point higher? And assuming rates do come down at some point in the future, I mean, what goes up comes down, I can refinance. Now, if you don't have a steady job or steady income, you may not be able to refinance. But if you do, then there's no reason not to. And in fact, jumping into a market, and this is true throughout the United States, jumping into a market, regardless of interest rates, where you can afford the payment and there are very few buyers in the marketplace, you're going to negotiate a better price because that seller who's on the market, they can't wait because life has influences on them. They need to move, they need a bigger house, they need a smaller house, someone's died. So all of that is to say that as a buyer, if you're on the fence, my advice is you get off the fence, even though interest rates are half a point higher than you'd like to see them. If you can afford your home, if you can afford your payment on a monthly basis. And if you're a seller, I don't think you should wait either, because there are clearly buyers in the marketplace. And as we saw on that one chart, it's skewed toward a seller's market. That's all I have for today. If I can ever be of service to you, don't hesitate to call or write. Leave me a comment down below if you'd like me to offer some additional advice or recommendation or suggestion, or go over this in greater detail. And until next week, take care.